Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist. I'd like to welcome you to a special 5-part series on working with monitors. This podcast series is sponsored by Affiliated Monitors. A word about Affiliated Monitors. Founded in 2004, Affiliated Monitors provides professional, independent integrity monitoring and ethics and compliance assessments nationally and internationally and across all industries. With its knowledge of effective ethics and compliance programs, Affiliated Monitors is respected for its work as a corporate monitor on matters ranging from multinational corporations to small and mid-sized companies and even individuals. Having served in over 700 monitorships, no one has more experience as an independent monitor than the team at Affiliated Monitors. In this podcast series, I'm joined by Don Stern, the Managing Director of Corporate Monitoring and Consulting Services at Affiliated Monitors. We're going to take a look at concerns and fears people have of working with monitors, what the positive aspects of working with monitors are, how monitors go about their jobs, the regulators' use of monitors both in civil and criminal matters, and finally, how attorneys use monitors to resolve white-collar and other matters. I know you'll find it to be a very interesting series going forward. This series, Working with Monitors, is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. In today's episode, we're going to take up the topic of the impact that a monitor can have on an organization, the employee's value an outsider coming in and being heard. So, Don, thanks for taking the time to visit with me today.
You're welcome, Tom. Glad to be here.
So, Don, I think this is really, this point cannot be stated enough. Really, that second clause, the value or the value employees put on an outsider coming in and being heard. From your perspective as that person who's been the outside monitor, what are some of the reasons that you've either been told or you believe are to be the reason?
I mean the positive, the value of a monitor coming in or somebody, a third party coming in?
Right. And why employees value that so much?
Yeah. Well, I think it's at several different levels. There is the very personal level, and I've seen this time and time again when we will sit with either an individual employee at different levels. It could be at a lower level, it could be at the CEO level, and the employee will feel validated in a sense. It sounds odd to say that because you'd think that if the company was working properly, that each employee would have an opportunity to sort of say their piece and to describe observations and things that they're experiencing. But that's not the way the real world works, and people have concerns and fears of retaliation and the like. So we have often found after, let's say, an interview or sometimes a focus group, we'll do focus groups with, let's say, 6 or 7 or 10 employees in a room and sitting around a table and getting them to talk. They'll sometimes say, this has been terrific. I've been wanting to say these things to somebody, and I hope that, don't attribute this to me. I'm not looking for you to go back to anybody and say that I said this, but I hope that cumulatively you will take what I've said and what others have said and make some suggestions to the company. Sometimes, by the way, the things that are said really are not within our scope. I mean, we get HR complaints and, could you tell them that I need a raise? Could you tell them that I'm working too hard? So some of these things are really not what we do, but we listen. And I do think that employees feel better kind of explaining their perspective on what's happening internally in the company. And then in a big picture way, they will often ask, well, what's going to happen with this? What's the result of all this, of all of your work? And, what we will often say is, again, depending upon whether we're brought in on a proactive basis or whether it's part of a government settlement, the goal is really pretty much the same, which is this is a company that wants to be the best. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be hired unless the company in good faith wanted somebody independent with experience. And we've done 4, maybe 500 or 600 monitorships over the course of Affiliated Monitors' existence. We have the experience to come in and not only look at how your company is doing, but we have the ability to kind of benchmark that against what's happening not only in your industry, but in other industries. And at the end of the day, it's a little bit like the making of sausage. At the end of the day, we're going to have some recommendations, and the expectation is that your company is going to be top of the heap, that you will have a state-of-the-art compliance and ethics program, and you will have contributed to making it better.
So you said something in there that I really did want to pick up on because I think it's incredibly important, and it was the word independent. You guys are not, although you are lawyers, you're not a law firm coming in looking to have a long-term attorney-client relationship. You're not going to do transactional work. You're not going to do ongoing compliance work. You truly are independent. And I was wondering if you can explain why employees find that phrase, that word, so important and so valuable, but also it lends itself to the type of work affiliated monitors do and how you can talk to management.
Well, I do think it's important. And by the way, we're not all lawyers. I'm a lawyer by training, and a number of people who work for affiliated are lawyers, but we're not all lawyers. Some have a more forensic accounting background. Some have a statistical background. But the point you're making and the question you're asking is really the same, which is, first of all, for affiliated monitoring, this is what we do. We're not doing, we're not practicing law. We're not doing their financial audit. We're not an accounting firm. So this is our main focus and our main experience. And it's I wouldn't say it's odd. Maybe it's human nature. People are much more willing to talk not only to outsiders who are coming in, who they don't interact with on a day-to-day basis, but particularly if it's in the context of a government settlement, somebody who has been, if you will, anointed by the government agency as being independent. And we make that clear. We're not beholden to the government. We have an obligation to report to the government faithfully as to what we're seeing, the good, bad, and the ugly, which we do. But we are not also beholden to the company. And there have been many hard truths that we've sometimes had to explain to a company as to what's going on, either in a pocket of their enterprise. It might be a branch office. It might be something else, or maybe a systemic problem that they haven't seen. So I think that independence is critical. They don't always like what comes with it, but it's sort of the old adage, at the end of the day, they respect us and they recognize that it's in their interests for us to be independent. If we're in the company's pocket and we do whatever the company wants, at the end of the day, the government will see right through that, and it's not going to be a good outcome.
So the other thing that I find occurs sometimes is employees will actually feel guilty simply because an independent assessor or an independent monitor or in a proactive sense would come in, that they think the company is looking for something wrong. Do you find that to have come up, and if so, how would you address it?
Yeah, it comes up, but it's often at the tail end of a company knowing. Again, thinking of this in the context, Tom, of a settlement. Let's say a deferred prosecution or settlement with a government agency, state attorney general's office, or something like that. So the company's reputation has already been beaten up a little bit, and typically the employees that we're talking to at that point had nothing to do with the wrongdoing. I mean, they probably didn't know about it. They're really sort of observers to what's happening internally within the company, and they've in some cases read about it in the newspaper. So we then come in, and it looks to them, at least initially, that it's a continuation, or our meeting with them or our interview with them is just sort of part and parcel of that, which is to once again find out all the bad things of the company, sully the reputation of the company, make them look bad, make their boss look bad. And what we do and how we address it is to try to explain that this is an opportunity to turn the page, that what's happened has happened. The company has stepped up and recognized, in most cases, recognized the problems, reached a resolution with the government, there is now a provision for a third-party independent, a monitor. Sometimes it's called something else, but let's call it a monitor, to come in and to try to proactively, in advance, in a forward-looking way, improve the company. So when we have that, when we explain that we're not here to kick dirt in anybody's face, we're here to seek out improvements. That makes a difference. They kind of, they like that. People want to be proud to work for the company. I mean, that's an interesting thing that time and time again, people aspire to work for a company that they feel good about. They want to tell their spouse, they want to tell their children, they want to feel good when their neighbors ask them, who do they work for? And when companies get into trouble, they like the fact that the page is being turned and that once again they can be very proud of where they work.
So, Don, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time for this episode. This has been a fascinating exploration about really some behavioral aspects of why having a truly independent monitor can help both employees and an overall company. In our next episode, we're going to take a look at a question I have wanted to ask you for a long time, which is what do monitors actually do? So I look forward to going to our next episode. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox again. I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of my special 5-part series on working with monitors, sponsored by Affiliated Monitors, Inc. If you have any questions of Don, you can reach him at don.stern@affiliatedmonitors.com. Hope you will listen for our next episode on working with monitors. This special series, Working with Monitors, is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.